Friends, there's such a richness to the scripture readings today, and they are all about seeing. You know, the story of the man born blind in today's gospel is well known to most, if not all of us. He put clay on my eyes, and I washed, and now I can see. And the lesson we learn from this rich story and the image that it provides is one that we have heard many times, that living a life in God involves allowing God to draw us from spiritual blindness into light, from darkness into God's light. And so as we journey through Lent, we reflect on those things that keep us in the dark. And we invite our loving, merciful God to shine his light into every single corner of our lives, our souls, our minds, and our hearts. However, I did make a point of saying that going from blindness to sight is only a part of living a life in God, because that image seems to me to be somewhat incomplete. And that additional understanding that I believe is helpful can be found in the first reading today from the first book of Samuel. Just to recap, God asked Samuel to choose and to anoint a king from among all the sons of Jesse. And God tells Samuel, do not judge from his appearance. And not as man sees, does God see. And so naturally, Jesse presents his 7 eldest sons to Samuel first. And I think that makes perfect sense. Surely Samuel would want to choose one of them. And yet Samuel realizes, or should I say sees, that the future king is not among them. Samuel asks if there are any others. And Jesse then calls in his youngest son, David, who is tending the sheep. And God tells Samuel that he is to anoint David, that he is the one. In a certain sense, God allows Samuel to see in David what God himself sees. And so while the gospel reading today reveals the importance of allowing our loving God to open our eyes and to rescue us from a life of darkness, the first reading makes clear that following God involves not just seeing, but seeing in a very particular way, seeing as God sees. And we're able to see as God sees when we let God be both the light and the lens through which we view the world. It will almost certainly completely change how we experience everything in this life. It will completely shape our interactions with each and every person and in every situation. In this sense, my friends, a holy life is one in which we allow God to illuminate our lives as God sees fit, not as we would like, in order that we may more perfectly imitate his beloved Son, Jesus Christ, in all that we say, but more so in all the ways in which we live our lives. And so let's pledge to no longer go through life in darkness. Let's open ourselves, open our eyes, allow God to open our eyes, flooding our hearts and our minds with his light. And when we have to make difficult choices in life regarding others or complicated situations, let's not simply give a quick and shallow response or make a convenient decision, choosing what is best for us or what feeds our individual wants or prejudices. Rather, when these situations arise, let's just pause in those moments and honestly and sincerely ask ourselves, if God were viewing this person or this situation, which God is, what would God see? And then may we have the courage to embrace the answer that we receive.